The eternal boy, the man who refuses to grow up. You've probably met someone like this, a man full of ideas, energy, and big dreams. He talks about changing the world, starting a business, or writing a book. He's charming, creative, and often the most interesting person in the room. There's something magnetic about him, his lightness, his confidence, his sense that life is full of possibilities. But as time passes, you start to notice something else. For all his talk, he never really does anything. His life is full of beginnings that never reach the middle, let alone the end. Psychology calls this pattern the Puer Aeternus, Latin for eternal youth. Carl Jung used the term to describe a man who resists growing up, not physically, but emotionally and psychologically. He wants to stay in the world of potential, where everything is possible and nothing is final. Growing up, for him, feels like a kind of death, the loss of freedom, spontaneity, and wonder. The eternal boy avoids anything that feels like confinement. Routine, commitment, and responsibility feel suffocating. He wants adventure, not structure, passion, not patience. But this search for freedom often becomes a trap, because by avoiding the realities of life, work, struggle, limits, he also avoids growth. At first, his charm hides the problem. People see him as inspiring, a dreamer, a free spirit. But over time, the cracks begin to show. He jumps from one job to another, one relationship to the next, always chasing excitement, always running from stability. When things get difficult, he tells himself it just wasn't the right time or the right person. But deep down, he's afraid of failure, of judgment, of being ordinary. The tragedy of the eternal boy is that he confuses freedom with avoidance. True freedom isn't about escaping responsibility. It's about choosing it. It's the ability to build, commit, and endure, not because you have to, but because you want to. The man who refuses to grow up stays trapped in a world of fantasies that never become real. Yet, there's something beautiful at his core. His imagination, his hope, his openness to life. These are powerful traits. The goal isn't to kill the boy within, but to guide him, to let the man emerge and give shape to the boy's dreams. When maturity meets imagination, something extraordinary happens. He stops floating and starts creating. In the end, growing up isn't the death of youth. It's the moment it finally takes root and becomes something real. The illusion of freedom, when escape feels like independence. Many people say they want freedom. They dream of living without limits, doing what they want, when they want, answering to no one. It sounds beautiful, almost heroic. But there's a kind of freedom that isn't real at all. It's not independence. It's avoidance, dressed up as liberation. This is the kind of freedom lived by the eternal boy, the man who never quite grows up. He tells himself he's different, that he's too creative for ordinary life, too unique for routines and rules. He says he's waiting for the right moment to start that project or commit to that relationship. But underneath all these words lies a quiet fear, a fear of responsibility, of failure, of being seen as ordinary. On the surface, he seems confident and self-assured, but his freedom is built on running away from effort, from rejection, from the weight of adulthood. He avoids anything that ties him down: jobs, relationships, long-term plans. He tells himself he's protecting his independence, but what he's really protecting is his comfort. Because facing real life means facing imperfection, and that terrifies him. Over time, this illusion of freedom starts to crumble. The endless choices, the constant changes, the lack of direction, it all begins to feel hollow. The jobs that once felt exciting now seem temporary. The relationships that once felt magical start to fall apart because he's never truly there. He mistakes commitment for imprisonment and ends up living in emotional isolation. The tragedy is that he believes he's living freely while he's actually trapped. Trapped in the fear of failure. Trapped in the endless chase for novelty. Trapped in the fantasy that life should be effortless. His freedom slowly eats away at everything meaningful: career, love, purpose, until all that remains is a cycle of new beginnings and unfinished stories. True freedom isn't about escaping structure, it's about choosing it. It's the ability to take responsibility for your life and still stay connected to your values and creativity. Real freedom requires courage, the courage to commit, to fail, to face discomfort and still move forward. When a person mistakes avoidance for freedom, they don't live, they drift. But when they accept that freedom also carries responsibility, something changes. Life gains direction. Love deepens. Work becomes meaningful. In the end, freedom isn't found in running away from limits. It's found in facing them with strength and choosing who you want to be within them. Because only when you stop escaping life can you truly start living it. The shadow side of the eternal boy. At first glance, the eternal boy seems full of life. He's spontaneous, creative, charming, and unpredictable. His energy feels refreshing in a world that often feels heavy and routine. But over time, that same lightness starts to reveal something darker, a pattern of instability, self-sabotage, and emotional immaturity hiding beneath the surface. The man who refuses to grow up doesn't just avoid responsibility. He unconsciously destroys the things that could help him mature. He starts new projects with excitement, only to abandon them once the real work begins. He falls in love quickly, but disappears when the relationship demands depth or effort. He promises change, but never follows through. And when things fall apart, he always has an explanation that sounds poetic. I'm not ready, it's not the right time, or I need to find myself first. These words sound self-aware, but they're really just shields. Underneath them is fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of being ordinary. To him, committing to something means facing the possibility that he might not be as special as he believes. So he stays in motion, always moving toward the next dream, the next plan, the next person. He lives in potential because reality feels too risky. But this pattern comes at a cost. His creativity turns into inconsistency, his independence becomes isolation, and his relationships start to crumble. The people around him grow frustrated, tired of watching him sabotage his own success. They see his brilliance, but also his resistance to growth. And as the years pass, his charm loses its shine. What once looked like freedom now looks like fear, disguised as art. The shadow side of the eternal boy is not evil, it's unconscious. He doesn't realize that he's the one holding himself back. Every time he avoids structure or commitment, he feels powerful for a moment, but emptier soon after. Because deep down, he knows he's not moving forward. He's circling the same emotional ground, over and over. Facing this shadow requires honesty, the kind that hurts at first but heals in the long run. It means admitting that running from life is not the same as living it. That perfection is not possible, and failure is not fatal. Growth begins the moment he stops romanticizing his avoidance and starts taking responsibility for his choices. In the end, the eternal boy's greatest battle isn't with the world, it's with himself. Only when he faces his fear of being ordinary can he finally become extraordinary in the real sense. Someone who builds, creates, and loves with both heart and stability. The devouring mother dynamic. Behind many men who refuse to grow up the Puer Aeternus, or eternal boy, there often stands a hidden figure, the devouring mother. This term doesn't necessarily mean a bad or cruel mother. In fact, she's often loving, caring, and deeply devoted. The problem lies not in her affection, but in her overprotection. She nurtures her son so much that she unintentionally keeps him small. The devouring mother shields her child from discomfort, failure, and pain. She rescues him before he can learn resilience, smooths every rough edge, and ensures he never feels the sting of consequence. What begins as love slowly becomes control. She may not say it outright, but her message is clear. You're safer with me than out there in the world. And so, the boy never truly learns to stand on his own. When he grows up, this dynamic doesn't disappear. It simply changes form. He unconsciously seeks women who play the same role, nurturing, forgiving, and undemanding. These women often confuse care with love, believing that protecting him is a sign of devotion. But what they're really doing is reinforcing his dependence. Instead of partners, they become mothers. Instead of growing together, both remain stuck in a pattern that feels safe but stifling. To the pure man, these relationships feel comforting. There are no real expectations, no pressure to lead, build, or commit. But comfort soon turns to emptiness. Without challenge, he feels aimless. Without accountability, he feels lost. His partner, meanwhile, begins to feel drained, carrying both emotional and practical burdens, while he floats between dreams and excuses. What was meant to be love becomes quiet resentment. Psychologically, the devouring mother is not just a person, it's an inner force. It represents the part of him that wants to stay safe, that fears responsibility and the weight of independence. It whispers that the world is too harsh and that someone else should take care of him. Breaking free from this bond means confronting that inner comfort, letting go of protection, and learning to face life's challenges without rescue. True growth begins when the poor man stops seeking mothers and starts seeking equals. When he chooses relationships that challenge him instead of coddling him, he begins to develop strength. Real love doesn't protect you from life. It helps you face it. To become a mature man, he must leave the emotional home of the devouring mother behind. Only then can he discover a deeper kind of freedom, the freedom that comes not from being cared for, but from being capable. Breaking the cycle from eternal boy to mature man. The moment of real growth begins when the eternal boy finally faces reality. For years, he's lived in a comfortable illusion, protected by fantasy, excuses, and often the emotional safety net of a symbolic mother who shields him from life's demands. But true transformation starts only when he steps out of that protection and confronts the truth. Freedom without responsibility is just another form of imprisonment. Carl Jung called this painful transformation individuation, the process of becoming a whole, independent self. It's not a gentle change. It feels more like a psychic birth. Something must die for something new to emerge. The illusions of endless potential, the comforting stories of someday, and the idea that someone else will always catch him, all of that must go. What takes their place is reality, work, responsibility, limits, and the awareness that life will not wait for him to feel ready. Facing reality doesn't mean giving up dreams. It means grounding them in effort and consistency. The poor man must learn that commitment is not a trap. It's the soil where real freedom grows. Every time he follows through, even when he doesn't feel inspired, he builds a deeper kind of confidence, the trust in his own ability to sustain himself. This shift requires courage, acting despite fear, showing up when it's inconvenient, staying when it's easier to run. These are small but radical acts of maturity. Over time, structure becomes stability, and stability becomes strength. The man who once feared being ordinary discovers that ordinary effort creates extraordinary results. Breaking the cycle is not about rejecting sensitivity, creativity, or imagination, the eternal boy's best traits. It's about integrating them with discipline and purpose. When he learns to combine vision with responsibility, he no longer floats between fantasies. He starts shaping reality. The path to maturity is not glamorous. It's quiet, often lonely, and full of uncomfortable truths. But each step away from avoidance is a step toward freedom, the kind that comes from owning your life completely. In the end, the eternal boy becomes a man not when he stops dreaming, but when he learns to turn those dreams into something real. That's when he discovers that the real adventure was never in escaping life. It was in learning how to live it fully. Integration and true freedom. The goal of growth is not to destroy the inner boy, but to integrate him. The Puer Aeternus, the eternal boy, represents creativity, imagination, and emotional sensitivity. These qualities are not weaknesses, they are sources of vitality and inspiration. But when left unchecked, they can keep a man trapped in immaturity, always chasing excitement and avoiding reality. Integration means allowing that youthful energy to serve something larger, turning potential into purpose and emotion into strength. Many men fear that growing up means losing their spark, their sense of wonder, or their individuality. But maturity isn't about becoming dull or lifeless. It's about direction. The eternal boy runs from structure because he mistakes discipline for confinement. In truth, discipline is what allows creativity to take shape. A musician without practice, a writer without focus, an artist without patience, all eventually lose their gift to chaos. Structure doesn't kill freedom, it gives it form. True freedom isn't about doing whatever you want whenever you feel like it. That kind of freedom quickly collapses into emptiness and regret. Real freedom means choosing consciously, understanding your motives, and taking responsibility for the consequences. It's the freedom to build something solid, to follow through, to create meaning rather than chase endless possibilities. Carl Jung believed that integration, the merging of youthful spirit and adult responsibility, is the foundation of individuation, the process of becoming whole. When a man accepts both his dreams and his duties, he stops running from life and starts participating in it. He no longer needs rescue, validation, or escape. He becomes his own grounding force. The mature man doesn't abandon his inner boy. He guides him. The playfulness that once distracted him becomes curiosity. The imagination that once led him to avoid reality now fuels his purpose. The energy that once scattered now builds. Integration turns fantasy into creation. Real power comes from ownership, from standing firmly in your life and saying, "This is mine to shape." It's not about perfection or constant control, but about presence. You stop waiting for the ideal moment, the perfect plan, or someone else to make it easier. You start acting now, with what you have, where you are. In the end, true freedom isn't found in escape. It's found in commitment. When you integrate the inner boy into the adult self, you don't lose who you were. You finally become who you were meant to be. Final message: stop running, start living. Every one of us carries a piece of the Puer Aeternus, the eternal boy within. It's that part of us that longs to stay young forever, to avoid pain, and to escape the heavy weight of responsibility. We dream of freedom without limits, passion without commitment, and success without struggle. It's a comforting fantasy, but one that life eventually challenges. Because no matter how long we hide, reality always catches up. The truth is, life doesn't wait for anyone. time moves forward whether we're ready or not. We can either cling to the illusion of eternal youth, always planning, avoiding, and hoping things will change, or we can choose to grow, even when it hurts. Growth demands courage. It asks us to face discomfort, uncertainty, and loss. But staying stuck in fantasy costs more in the long run. Avoiding life may protect us from failure, but it also keeps us from fulfillment. Maturity doesn't mean losing your lightness or creativity. It means learning to carry them with strength and purpose. It's about moving from dreaming to doing, from avoidance to action. The moment you start showing up for your own life, paying your bills, keeping your word, taking care of your health, committing to what matters, you begin to build something real. And with each responsible act, the fog of fantasy fades, replaced by the quiet power of self-trust. Growth is uncomfortable, but not growing is unbearable. When you keep avoiding life, the same patterns repeat: broken promises, lost opportunities, and quiet resentment toward yourself. But when you take the leap into maturity, everything begins to align. Your energy, once scattered across dreams, becomes focused. Your relationships deepen. Your confidence grows not because you're perfect, but because you're present. True freedom isn't found in running from reality. It's found in embracing it. Freedom means being strong enough to choose, to commit, and to create your own path, even when it's hard. It's not about endless options, but about purposeful direction. The eternal boy within you doesn't need to die. He just needs to grow up. Let him bring his imagination, courage, and hope, but anchor them in responsibility and action. Life becomes meaningful when you stop waiting to feel ready and start living as if you already are. Growth hurts, but not growing hurts more. The real journey begins the moment you stop running and decide to live fully awake and fully responsible for your own becoming.